This is my gaming system, and it's really stupid. There's nothing wrong with the performance, it's a beast, but it draws over 500 watts from the wall while gaming. Which in winter is great, it's like a 2-for-1, you get a heater and a gaming system at the same time. But it's very much not winter right now. And at the moment, it feels like I'm gaming next to the surface of the sun. This thing has a considerable impact on the ambient temperature of my apartment while gaming, and that's just unacceptable. So in today's video, I'm gonna see if I can build a system with similar-ish performance that draws way less power. But first, today's video is sponsored by the monolithic Dark Power Pro 13, a power supply designed to outlive you. Which I guess, depending on your diet, may not mean much, but anyway. Honestly, the only thing you really need to know about the Dark Rock Pro 13 is that the switch on the back brings me to orgasm without fail. Oh! So if you're in the market for an heirloom power supply with huge amounts of future-proof connectors, braided cables, except for the PCIe 5 one, and a bunch of awesome accessories, check out the Dark Rock Pro 13 with the link in the video description. First, let me walk you through the specs of the system. When it comes to the graphics card, I've got an RTX 3080 in here. A real beast of a graphics card, but I'm convinced it utilizes fission in the process of rendering frames, considering how much heat the thing dumps into a room. It has an official TDP of 320 watts, but it feels more like 800. The thing is, the graphics card isn't the only problem in here. In terms of CPU, I've got an i9-11900K. You know that CPU everyone was real pissed about when it came out? Well, I have one of those in this system, and while gaming, it pulls 150 watts, which I feel like is way too much for an 8-core 16-thread CPU, especially one that isn't overclocked. That's just what it does when left to its own devices. Now the rest of the stuff in here is just a bunch of PC crap. They're not nearly as responsible as the CPU and the graphics card for setting my apartment on fire in the summer. Now my goal for this video is to build a new system that has about as much gaming performance as this system at 1440p, which is the resolution I game at, but while drawing significantly less power. And once I'm done building that system, I'll test what impact both the systems have on the ambient temperature of a room they're gaming in. But before we get to the testing, let's build the system. Now when it comes to the CPU, I decided to go with this Ryzen 7 5700X, because there's a bunch of charts online showing that this is one of the more efficient 8-core CPUs you can get, and you can get one for a couple pennies and a brisk fondle these days. Good old AM4. Now, as you could probably tell from the ITX motherboard, I am building an ITX system, but luckily the ITX case that I'm using supports a 240mm radiator, so I'm going to use this NZXT Kraken 240 that NZXT sent over a while ago. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how the motherboard mounts in relation to the radiator in the case, so we may have to reorient this, but we'll see. And I think on that note, let's get the case out. Now, I'm using a Meshalicious because, well, I've been using it as a light stand for the last year and a half, and I thought, yeah, I may as well. Wow, I feel like Meshalicious is an appropriate name for what's going on here. Wow, okay, I actually think I mounted the AIO the right way around, because the motherboard's gonna go in here, and then we can route the tubing down to the radiator over here. I think it should work. Let's give it a try. So I've done a test fit, and I'm pretty sure that our best bet is for the radiator to go in like this, and we just kind of need to squeeze tubing out the way for the power supply to go in. But luckily, this AIO tubing's quite flexible, so yeah, I think we'll be okay. Okay, so now that we have a semblance of cable management in here, which feels a bit weird to say considering how it looks, but it's a mini ITX system, there's really only so much you can do. Actually, before we drop the graphics card in here, I do want to see if the side panel fits on. Yeah, there we go. It requires a little bit of finagling, but we're good. And then in terms of graphics card, I'm gonna drop in this pretty losery coolered version of the RTX 4070. Now, say what you will about the 4070, and there's a lot you can say about it, but from what I've seen online, it seems to perform similarly to a 3080, but has a TDP of 200 watts, which is some pretty crazy efficiency. And hopefully we can also undervolt it and stuff. I'm curious to see how this goes. Now, as you can tell, the Meshify can support a whole lot more girth, and a bigger cooler would be better, but this is what I had lying around, because, you know, terrible Amazon pre-built and all that. Yeah, I'd say that looks fine. I don't think anything's sticking in any fans, and, yeah, let's fire it up. Well, it's way smaller, so that means it has to use less power, right? Okay, so we finally got our pretty much worst case gaming power draw scenario going here. Battlefield 5 with 1440p high settings, and the system's drawing way less power. We're hovering at around 310-ish watts from the wall, down from over 550. That's pretty huge. And here's the real kicker. The performance between these two systems at 1440p high settings is pretty much identical in Battlefield 5. That's pretty cool. So with my goal pretty much accomplished, I decided to see what this power draw difference meant for impact on ambient temperature. So I cooled my 760 cubic foot room down to 20.5 degrees Celsius, measuring the temperature using a thermometer on the opposite end of the desk. I then turned all the lights and AC off and then gamed for 40 minutes, after which I recorded the temperature change. So it's been 40 minutes of Battlefield 5, I just put the lights back on and I can definitely feel the temperature change. And as you can see here, we've gone up from 20.5 to 23 degrees Celsius. I then fired up the original system following the same procedure and the results were fascinating. So it's been 40 minutes now with the toaster oven system and we've hit 24.8 degrees Celsius, up from 20.5, and this just after 40 minutes! I then spent another 20 minutes benchmarking off and on, and the room hit 26 degrees Celsius. That's in just under an hour worth of gaming. I started by undervolting the graphics card, where with just a couple of clicks, managed to drop the power draw to 280 watts from the wall, down from about 310. And I didn't even lose any performance. If anything, the system was running better. The efficiency here is super impressive. In terms of CPU, I played around with the voltages a bit, which didn't do much, but then I found the Eco button, which dropped the power draw from the wall to just over 260 watts, while still giving us the same gaming performance. So with just a teeny bit of tinkering, I got a significant reduction in power draw, bringing us to less than half the power draw of the original system with no performance penalty. And with that, hopefully this new system won't set my apartment on fire while gaming anymore. I'm real excited. If you enjoy this kind of content, let me know in the comment section down below and subscribe to the channel. And until the next video, bye bye.